Hello friends, welcome to our new session in the control engineering for BA 7th semester undergraduates of mechanical engineering. Let's solve another problem on root locus. Let's solve another problem on root locus. In this problem, that is problem number 2, we are talking about type 2 problem in a root locus solutions. In type 2, I have taken a problem which is having 3 poles. Out of that, one is real and 2 complex. Let's read the problem. Sketch the root locus of unity feedback system having g of s k divided by s square plus 2s plus 5, where k is varied between 0 to infinity. Hence obtain the nature of k for which the system is unstable. When we see this problem, we see that this is an open loop transfer function. Okay, so we have to get it into a closed loop type of a transfer function where it is having g of s into h of s. So as it is having a unity feedback, so we are having h of s is equal to 1. We get the generalized equation as below. So g of s, h of s equal to k divided by s square plus 2s plus 5. So as I have told you, this is having 3 poles in the given problem. So how we get these 3 poles? Let's see here. So when we equate this one to 0, so we'll be getting 1 root s is equal to 0. Then another roots we are going to get it from this quadratic equation, s square plus 2s plus 5. So in this quadratic equation we'll be getting 2 roots, hence the total number of roots will be 3, hence the poles are 3. So as I have mentioned, number of poles p equal to 3. So which are the poles? First one, s1 equal to 0. So one pole is at origin, and the roots of this quadratic equation is -1 plus or minus j2 or 2j. So one root is -1 plus j2, another one is -1 minus j2. This is in the form of x plus I pi. So like this also, or it can be written as a plus or minus jb, where a is the real part of the complex number and b is the imaginary part of the complex number. So we write it as rp and ip also. J is said as Jacobian. Jacobian or I is called as an imaginary I also. So many books they use this one. So this is how a complex number is written, complex number, and this complex number is having an angle also. This will can be written in the angle form also, that is tan inverse of y by x. So we will use this one. So we can find out their position also. So where it is going to be located. From this we can find out, or it can be located from tan inverse of, if we are using b by a, so it can be coming from tan inverse of b by a. So you might be remembering all this one. Use of this one is going to be taking place. Okay. Next, we don't have any zeros, so hence z is equal to 0. And the number of branches, we know that n is equal to p, because out of this one there is p is equal to 3. Then coming to number of branches which are ending at infinity, that is p minus z equal to 3. So this is 3 branches which are ending to infinity. One branch is going to start at s is equal to 0, we know that one, and it will be tending to infinity. So here it will be tending to infinity. Another branch will be starting at s is equal to minus 1 plus j2, and it is also tending to infinity. The third branch is going to start at s is equal to minus 1 minus j2, and that is also tending to infinity. Hence, there are 3 root loci all proceeding towards infinity. Next, step 2. Draw the poles and zeros to a suitable scale. Here there are no zeros, hence we have to draw a simple grid which is having the real axis line and the imaginary axis line. Here I have drawn it for you. So you can draw one small grid here. So draw a straight line and name it as sigma, and draw one more line here, vertical line, and name it as JW. As we are not writing plus here, means positive. Here we can write as minus JW. This side sigma is tending to infinity, so it is minus sigma. Now locate the poles. One pole is at s is equal to 0. The poles are located by x mark. Then one more pole is going to be located at s is equal to minus 1. That is, from here it is minus 1 here, and then it goes here, that is j2 plus j2. Okay, then one more minus 1 minus j2. So here minus 1 minus j2. So there are 3 poles. Locate this one. So 3 poles, and at all these poles, this one s is equal to 0. At all these poles, the value of k will be 0. Okay, at this one k. Next, we have to find out the real axis line or a root locus line. Step 3, finding or testing the real axis loci. So move from the origin, that is on the negative real axis, means from here check out whether there are poles and zeros on the right side of this plane, that is S plane. If there is nothing, means there is 0, means it is going to be, here it is going to be even number, so it will be not having any root locus line. Okay, so here you write it as NRL, non-root locus line. Then coming to the test line. So test line will be between s is equal to 0 and s is equal to minus 1. That is the first test line, that is between 0 and minus 1. So you are going to stand here, count how many number of poles and zeros are on the right side. It is 1 here. 1 means it is going to be odd number. So the test line between 0 and s is equal to minus 1, that is going to be a root locus line is going to be present, RL. Next test is between s is equal to minus 1 and infinity. So between this one and here, stand here and count the number of poles and zeros on the right hand side. Even you can count these also. So 1 is here, second one is here, and the third one here. The total count is 3. So 3 is an odd number. So what will happen? The line from minus 1 till minus infinity, this one will be a root locus line. So hence the line of root locus will be starting from s is equal to 0 and it will be tending to infinity. And make this dark and write it as RL. Okay, and here itself only, as we are having on a root locus line, we don't have another pole here, so here breakaway point is not going to come. So we don't have breakaway point, but as we are having a complex poles that in the S plane they are located, we are going to get the angle of departure. Next, step 4, number of asymptotes. It has been given as p minus z equal to 3 minus 0, that is equal to 3. Next, angle of asymptotes. Angle of asymptotes, we know that phi a equal to plus or minus 180 degree 2q plus 1 divided by p minus z. As p minus z is available, that is 3, we need to find out the q value here to find out the various asymptote angles. So q is given by p minus z minus 1, hence q is equal to p3, so p3 z 0 and minus 1 here, minus 1 here, hence q is equal to 2. So as q is equal to 2, we have to have iterations which are going to start from q equal to 0, 1 and end when it is 2. So 2. So first one, when substituting q equal to 0, we get phi a1. Phi a1 equal to plus or minus 180 degree 2 into wherever q was there, substitute 0 plus 1 divided by 3 plus we get plus 60 degree. Similarly, when q is equal to 1, we get plus 180 degree. Then when q equal to 2, we get phi a3 equal to plus 300 degree. So using these asymptote angles, that is plus 60 degree, plus 180 degree and plus 300 degree, we have to next find out the centroid. So step 5, centroid. Centroid is given by sigma c equal to summation of poles minus summation of zeros, that is real part, divided by p minus z. So we are already having sigma c equal to the real part of one pole is s is equal to 0. This is 0, this one. Then s1 we had, that is minus 1 and plus j2, and s2 we had, that is minus 1 minus j2. This plus j2 and minus j2 get cancels, minus of, hence we don't have any zeros, so it will be 0. So minus 1 minus 2. So here divided by 3, so what we'll get, you will be getting minus 0.66. This is the centroid. So after getting the centroid, we have to locate the centroid. So you have already drawn this one. On the same diagram, what you do, you have located the root locus line also. We know this one is s is equal to minus 1. This is s is equal to 0. Very near to half of the midpoint, that is we can locate minus sigma c. Sigma c is equal to minus 0.66. So locate here and show the centroid somewhere here, sigma c, and allocate the angles, that is phi as1, that is here phi as1, that is 60 degree. Similarly, locate for phi as2, that is 180 degree here. So on the same line, then find out the angle here, another one 300 degree. So for the phi as3, so 300 degree. So we can see that these asymptote lines are passing through the j omega line, that is the imaginary part, and the path which is going to start from the complex pole are going to tend towards this particular direction. This is going to help us to know the direction in which the branches are going to tend. Okay. Next, as I had mentioned earlier that we don't have another real pole here. We don't have another real pole here in between which the breakaway point is going to occur. So hence step 6, breakaway point need not be done or need not be calculated. But next important, step 7 is needed, that is angle of departure. Next, very important, here we have to find out angle of departure. So to find out angle of departure, here angle of departure has to be found out for the complex poles. So we are having two complex poles. One is S2, that is minus 1 plus J2. Another one is S3, that is minus 1 minus J2. So out of this one, any one can be chosen for finding out angle of departure. Angle of departure is given by the formula phi d. D means departure equal to 180 degree minus phi. So here we need to find out the phi value. To find out the phi value, so we have to fix one of the complex pole as an anchor. Anchor means fixed point. So we are going to choose the second pole, that is S2 equal to minus 1 plus J2 as the anchor point, and using this as a anchor point or the fixed point, so we will draw a diagram, small diagram. So here the grid we have drawn. So one pole we are going to show here. Okay, this line you can draw a straight line here and another straight line here, horizontal line here. So need not worry about the measurements, just draw, and at one convenient point you locate one pole, that is S is equal to minus 1 plus J2, and we know at the intersection of this one we are having another pole here, that one you name it as S0, S is equal to 0. Okay, and quite symmetrical or quite opposite to this one, we add another pole, that is S is equal to minus 1 and minus J2, that also you locate. Okay, so keep the diagram as symmetrical as possible. Okay, next, keeping this as a fixed from the other two poles, that is from S is equal to 0 and S is equal to minus 1 J2, draw a straight line. This straight line has to meet this fixed point. This is a fixed pole here, this pole it has to meet. Okay, here also it has to meet. We have to draw from here like this, and next draw from here like this. Then we need to measure this angle, that is angle phi p1. This will be giving you phi p1, and measure this angle phi p2. Looking at this diagram, this is vertical, quite vertical, and it is this one angle. When we measure, this one will be 90 degree. So 90 degree from horizontal. So you have to measure these angles with respect to horizontal. So measure this one. To measure this one, we can apply the trigonometric ratio. If we know this value, that is theta, if we know this theta, then total angle of this one will be 180 degree. The total angle will be 180 degree. So 180 degree minus theta will be telling you the phi p1 value. So to find out the theta, so we can use the trigonometric relationship. So here minus 1 means this is minus 1. This is the distance. This is the distance minus 1 as we know. And this J2 means this one distance. This is the J2 distance. The height of this one is 2. So from the trigonometric ratio, we can find out that theta is equal to tan inverse of here the 2 divided by 1. From there we can get it. So how we found out? Here I am having, so phi p1 can be obtained by 180 degree minus theta. So 180 degree minus tan inverse of 2 by 1. So 2 by 1. So you will be getting here the value as 116.57. So need not worry about this positive negative sign. Take it positive itself only. Then find phi p2, that is 90 degree. From visualization itself only we came to know this is perpendicular 90 degree. Then sum this one. Next what we have to do is we have to find out the phi value. To find out the phi value, we have one relationship here, that is sigma phi p minus sigma phi z. That is phi p means phi number of summation of poles, summation of zeros. Summation of poles, we were having the pole 1 and pole 2 excluding the fixed pole. So we are having two poles, those two poles angles, that is phi p1 and phi p2, minus none of zeros are there, so it will be 0. When we found it, we got the phi p1 value as 116.57. So after calculating, then 90 degree, from seeing this one 90 degree we got it. So we get the total included angle of this one as 206.57. Then as we know, phi has to be substituted in this value, so we have phi here, it has to be substituted. The angle is 206, hence we are talking about the first angle of departure. So we write phi d1 equal to 180 degree minus phi. So 180 degree here minus phi means this phi, that is minus 206.57. So the angle of departure will be minus 26.57. Means here we are going to get the angle of departure. So hence we have to measure here minus 26.67, negative sign, this will be giving you the angle of departure. This side will be the angle of departure. Here this angle will be minus 26.57 degrees. So we know one part of the angle of departure. So similarly we have to find the angle of departure for the complex pole, that is on the other side, that is minus 1 minus J2. This is J2, sorry, this is J2. So hence it is given as phi d2 equal to minus of phi d1. So it is symmetrical about its axis, so it will be quite similar. So it is minus of phi d1, that is minus of minus 26.57. So the value will be phi d2 will be plus 26.57. So from here, from this point, we have to measure plus 26.57 degree, and this is the angle of departure. So this is one of the key important part in the case of complex poles. In the complex poles, we have to find out the angle of departure. To find out the angle of departure, you can follow this method. There are other methods also which you can follow. You can do directly this one based on the graphical method on the plot itself only, and there also you can find out, or you can use the empirical formulas also you can do. So different textbooks follow different method. Here I insist students to follow this method. Found this one convenient and easy, little bit tricky, but if you do, you can follow it. Next we need to find out the crossover frequency, but to find out crossover frequency or the intersection with negative real axis, we have to go through the characteristic equation. But here to find out the crossover frequency, we are having the characteristic equation from d plus k n equal to 0. We are having here s square plus 2s plus 5 plus k. So this is in the denominator part and this is in the numerator part, that is k equal to 0. And when we multiply this s here, we get s cube plus 2s square plus 5s plus k equal to 0. Next, apply the RH array or find out the Routh-Hurwitz criterion method to determine the k. Here we are having s cubes coefficient 1 right here, 5, then next 2, then k. Apply the determinant method to find out the next s1. So 2 into 5, 10 minus k divided by 2, 10 minus k divided by 2. Next find out s0, we get k. Then solve for k. For stability, column 1 should be positive. The maximum value of k is obtained by equating the elements with k terms to 0. This we have already known. So using that, we got 10 minus k divided by 2 equal to 0. Hence minus k is equal to minus 10. So k margin after combining, we get it is going to lie between 0 and 10. So this is going to tell about the crossover margin, that is k margin. Similarly, we have to find out the crossover frequency. To find out crossover frequency, that is JW. We use the auxiliary equation from the S second row. So that is 2s square plus k equal to 0. Hence substituting the value of k equal to 10 and determining the s value. So after going through this one, we get s is equal to plus or minus j 2.223. Hence the omega margin is 2.223 radians per second. Next, we have to draw the diagram for or plot the root locus. Let's plot the root locus on the graph sheet. Here, important thing here is I suggest you to take the grid. So here for the grid, you take a scale 1 centimeter is equal to 0.5 units. Okay, then do write the question number on the graph sheet itself only related to which question you are drawing this one. Most often I have seen that students do forget to write this one and they'll be getting confused for which question this diagram is all about in their notes or in the references. So I suggest you to write here itself only, and when we write here it will tell us that which type of problem this is talking about. So this is a single pole, 3 poles with 1 pole at origin and 2 complex poles. Okay. Next, coming to plotting, first identify the center here. So center 0, and moreover we know that the poles are complex and they are going to come on the left hand of a S plane. So try to keep the left side of your root locus empty, and very limited space you can use it for the right side. Okay, so here draw a horizontal line. Okay, from here half of your graph sheet you can use, and a center you can draw a horizontal line, draw a straight line. Okay, and mark tell this one as a sigma, this one as sigma. Okay, similarly what you can do, you can draw it on the other side also, so you can show that it is the negative sigma line. Okay, next what we can do, I will erase this one. Next you can draw, you are drawing a vertical line, the JW line. Okay, from here you can write it as plus JW, and the bottom we can write minus JW. Here we can show the points 0, 1, 2, 3 plus side, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3 and minus 4 on the negative side. Next, later identify the poles. We know the pole is S is equal to 0, so this is the first pole, S is equal to 0. The second pole is S is equal to minus 1 plus J2, so come here minus 1 and go this side and plus J2, so we'll get minus 1 plus J2. This is the second pole. Put a cross mark. So the root locus is symmetrical about real axis, so we'll be getting another polar quite mirror image of this one, minus 1 minus J2. You can verify minus 1 here, minus J2. Then identify the root locus line. Root locus line is this one, so total this one is a root locus. Draw a thick line from here to here, this is the root locus, and write this one as RL. Okay. And this is a non-root locus line, so here NRL. Okay, then next we need to find out the centroid. The centroid value is here we know sigma equal to minus of 0.66. So where it is minus 0.66, so we know that it is 0 here, this is minus 1, this is minus 0.5, here sigma value, as this is sigma line, so it is minus 0.66, so here we are going to get minus 0.66. Take a protractor, measure an angle equal to phi as1, that is equal to 60 degree. So measure 60 degree. keeping the protractor at the centroid, and draw a thin line which is going to pass through this JW line. So it is going to be plus 60 degree and name it as AS1. Dotted line you draw. Then similarly draw a straight line here and tell that AS2 that is equal to plus 180 degree. So it is a straight line, no need to draw again. So it is already telling that one branch is going to, or asymptote line is overlapping on the root locus line, that is AS2. Then measure from the same protractor 300 degree. So if the protractor doesn't allow you to measure complete 300 degree, so you keep the protractor down like this. So this side you keep, like this direction you keep, and measure 270 plus 30, that is 300, that is 90 plus 30 you do, you will get 300 degree. Or minus 60 degree from this side you measure, you will get this one AS3 equal to plus 300 degree. Okay, any method you can imply and you can get the 300 degree measurement. So you get the asymptote lines that is equal to plus 60 degree, plus 180 degree and plus 300 degrees. So these are the asymptote. Next, we know this one are too complex. There are angle of departure. The next step is to identify the angle of departure. So angle of departure, we know it is equal to minus 26 degree and plus 26 degrees. So keep the protractor D at this coinciding point, this line. Okay, this line you keep protractor D and measure from here. Measure from here, from this part, that is this line. Measure anti-clockwise direction or clockwise direction, sorry, 26 degrees, that is minus 26 degrees, and draw one thin line. Draw a thin line like this. You can draw thin line tending towards this side. Okay, then keep the protractor here, center here, the D of this one like this. Okay, measure plus 26 degrees this side. From this side you measure plus 26 degree. Draw a thin line, towards that one. Okay, this one will be telling the angle of departure. So this is going to tell about the angle of departure. After getting to know the angle of departure, we want to find out the crossover point, the crossover or intersecting point on the JW. So this is the crossover point. The crossover point is plus J2.223. So we have calculated earlier, that is the 8th step, last one, the crossover JW equal to J2.223. So in this one, plus J2.223 will get here point and minus J2.22 will get here. Okay, at this particular point K value is equal to 10, means the K margin is 10 here. Write it in bracket, K margin equal to 10. Then from the point of our cross mark, from there draw a small trajectory which is following the angle of departure, and then deviate a small line which is passing through this one. This has to be a freehand diagram. So you will get one angle of departure line like this, and again here also you would go follow the angle of departure trajectory, take a curve, and need not go on this side, that is on the left side, go on the right side, because asymptote angle is towards this one. Here also asymptote angle is towards the top, so you have to deviate here. Okay, and pass through this J intersection point and then follow the parallel line. So follow the parallel line of asymptote lines. So you get this one more branch. This is also you have to follow, you will get another branch. So you'll get the another branch of this one. So there are totally 3 branches. One branch is going to start it from here, that is from K equal to 0 as a K tends to infinity on the real root locus line. This is one branch. Second branch is going to start from K equal to 0 at S is equal to minus 1 plus J2, passing through J2.223 and going through this side. Another branch is going to start at minus 1 minus J2 at K equal to 0 and passing through the intersection point minus J2.223 at K equal to 10 and as it value of k is going to increase, it is going to tend towards infinity. Okay, so this is the plot for our problem, that is for one real and two complex poles. So added to the problem, many of the students asked out on can we draw the angle of departure using this plot itself only. So to help them, what I will do, I will try to draw the angle of departure here itself only. I'll show you how can you draw. As we are having a pole here, okay, here one pole we are having, here we have the second pole, and here we are having the third pole. So from the origin, from this pole itself only, draw a straight line. We will be drawing the line like this, and from this one draw a straight line. Okay, now keep the protractor D here. Okay, measure this angle, you will come to know the phi p1 angle. Okay, from this one you can come to know the phi p1 angle, what is the angle with the horizontal, and this is obviously 90 degree. So when we measure this one, we get around 116 degrees, plus 90 degree, that is 206 degrees. So this is 206 degrees. So we know angle of departure equal to 180 degree minus phi equal to minus 26 degrees. So after this one, how to do the minus 26 degrees for this one is, so I'll erase this one, okay, to help you. So take the protractor D like this, keep it here, center of the protractor, let it come here, and from here measure minus 26 degrees. From here you measure minus 26 degrees, draw a line here. So at this end you draw a line, so you know the trajectory is this side. Same thing, keep the D here, the protractor, the base here in line, and 90 degree line of the protractor here, measure 26 degree from this side, and draw a line here, the measurement 26 degree line. Then we came to know the projection of your angle of departure this side. Okay, then from here we can draw a straight line till a small extension, then we can deviate and go through this one. So this is one method of on the plot itself only finding out the angle of departure. So use this technique also, you can do eliminating that step number 7 continuous part. You can do this method also. For convenience, some students use this method also. So whichever you feel convenient, do it, nothing to worry. Okay, moreover, plotting is important. Whatever you are going to plot it, that should look neat and it should be readable. That is the important thing here, is it should be readable. Don't do everything in the same plot. So try to divide your steps. Each step will be carrying equal marks. Each step is having equal marks, and moreover try to complete the plot. As to mention you, these graph sheet is available in your booklet, and it will be in the first page. As it is in the first page, when you draw it, it will be scanned first. So I prefer you to use a pencil itself only. Wherever it is possible, you can erase it. Use pen if you want to highlight it. Okay, otherwise don't use it, because you can not erase it. Okay, and use a darker pencil and try to draw it. Okay, and as it will be scanned, so you know how the scanned copies will be. So sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't highlight you everything. So draw neatly, prepare it properly, and go for the solution. And plotting, do it, don't neglect that. If we don't plot, we get we have written all the steps. Do plot it. Okay, thank you. Thank you. For any queries or for any suggestions, you can contact me at my contact address, that is naveen.kalal@canaraengineering.in. Thank you.